Warning: the Central Indiana Sports Report contains mostly child-friendly adult conversations that sometimes might be offensive to some people, sometimes. We're sorry, but we don't apologize. If it made it through editing, that is our final take, and we don't apologize for our opinions. What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 306.5, the Fever Report with John Robertson and Michelle Garman, a new weekly feature to go along with our reaction podcast and our preview podcast. My microphone went out some point in the middle of the podcast, but it does come back on. Sorry for the inconvenience.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome, Fever fans, to our first ever official Fever Report. We've done a lot of reactions to the games, but this is a whole new era of the Central Indiana Sports Report, and we are going to talk Fever at least once a week, every single week, and I'm joined by John Robertson and Michelle Garman to do just that. We are at Tipton Municipal Golf Course. So nice of them to host us. Of course, we are inside because it's 148 degrees outside. And we are here to talk about last night's game, but also just to talk about the Fever in general and how we're feeling about the 6 and 8 start. And also, we have some breaking news, guys. Take it away.
Well, I think the first big news of the day is pretty much big news WNBA wide, is DeWanna Bonner has been waived from the Indiana Fever. No trade, they just waived her, and they picked up Ari McDonald. So DeWanna's been away from the team for at least 4 or 5 games. I think it's 5 games, and it was always said personal reasons, and there was speculation on whether she had family issues or what was going on, but it comes out she just didn't like the fit. How do you feel, Michelle?
I was wondering what was going on with her because she was missing games. And, I guess I'm just one of those people that think that, I know she's won NBA titles before, but you look at her age, and I've seen her play in the past, and she's not the same player she was 5 years ago, 4 years ago. The fact that I think it was more she was upset because she wasn't starting. I think she felt she was promised she was going to start. John, I'm one of those, and maybe it's because I've done some coaching, that I'm a big believer. It doesn't matter who starts. It matters who finishes, or it matters who's on the floor in crunch time. If you're one of the key pieces, you're going to be in when it really matters the most. Does it matter? What's the big deal about starting? I hate that. I think what it does is I think it hurts the Fever just a little bit, in that if Boston would suffer any kind of tweak an ankle or something like that then the Fever be hurt a little bit with some less experience inside to play for her. But I am excited because it brings back Ari McDonald, and I think she's a good fit with the Fever.
Well, before we get too far into that one, let's talk a little bit more about the Bonner situation. I want to just get into a little bit more specific about it. I agree with what you're saying, there was lots of speculation for the last 4 or 5 games, what was going on, and how the Fever fans like to get on social media, and they were speculating, and there was definitely some, I don't know if mudslinging is the right term, but there were people who were trying to throw her under the bus and say whatever. And I was not ready to jump on that at all, because I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I do think your assessment is correct. I think Lexi's been playing incredibly well. So when they moved Lexi to the starting lineup, I think it hurt DeWanna's, I don't know if you want to say ego, because that sounds pretty harsh maybe, but it didn't sit well with her that she was the player that she's always been, a big star in the WNBA, and then she has to come off the bench. So I agree with that assessment completely. I don't know that it hurts the team too badly, just because her money wasn't secured. It was an unsecured contract. So we lose, I think, 60-something thousand of the 200,000 that her contract was.
In which, if she'd been at the halfway point, it would have become fully guaranteed. So if this was gonna happen, this is the time to make it happen.
Yeah, I wish it would have. I wish they could have taken care of it slightly quicker, if I'm being honest. I mean,
Oh, yes.
with the Caitlin being out for the few games that she was, and Sophie being out for the few games, we're lucky to be sitting at 7-7, if we're being very honest.
Yes, you're right.
7-7 is a fine place to be right now. But like I think that we could have addressed this. Well, even the more I think about it, though, we couldn't have picked Ari up any sooner because we had to wait the 10 days.
But here's the thing. If this had happened sooner, we would have waived Bonner. And Ari, I don't know that she would have ever left because the roster spot would have opened.
But didn't we have to let her go for a while?
You know, when you have to let it, this is how I understand it, because I learned a little bit, I think, about this because, you know, the Sparks signed Grace Berger to the rest of the year emergency contract.
And then they waived her.
They waived her because they had to. Because when Plum came back off the injury list, it put them at 11 players, so she had to go. And it had to be her because she was the emergency thing. So if Bonner had been gone, I don't think we would have had to lose. Ari would have had to leave the team because we would have been under the number. So
let's just address the the fandom, right? Because Fever fans, I think Fever fans are great, but the reputation of Fever fans across the league is that they're horrible and mean and hate everybody.
Here's the thing. I think Fever fans are great. I think the obsessed Caitlin Clark fans.
Well, and that fair. That I agree with you.
Are the ones that take away from the Fever fans, and people have to understand, Fever fans aren't all obsessed Caitlin Clark fans.
Agree, 100% agree. But I'm just saying that it's kind of like the one bad apple spoils the bunch. When you look at the way Fever fans are viewed across the league.
Oh yes.
That's kind of what people.
Do we care?
I don't, but I'm just saying. But it leads into my question, right? My question is, as a Fever fan, how do you react to the Bonner situation? Are you upset with it, or do you think that they should just be chill with it, or do you think?
Here's what I think. I think you just let it go.
Forget she ever existed.
I think that the Fever, if you want, here's the thing, and I will say this because I think you can turn around and you can just look at what just went on with the Pacers and everything. If you just stay invested in the team and don't get into little dramatic things, it's better off for everyone, the team and everything, the players, everyone. So Fever fans.
Just don't expect to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's just, but yeah, I mean, my philosophy is just accept it, move on, because she was averaging like I think 7 points or whatever, and I don't mean that. I said I only think it may hurt the Fever if Boston would have to miss a few games, and they were playing a couple big teams. It might be trouble a little bit, but they still have an experienced big in Breonna Turner. I know she's not the same player she was either in her prime, but they do have that. And when you look at it, and Turner, I think she's done a wonderful job of accepting her role for the Fever. And I do think having brought in some of these experienced players is good, because I think they're good about, keeping the team focused not on the drama and off the court. And I will say this, I think team chemistry and everything has to be pretty good, because nothing leaked until the Fever. It was time to make a decision, kind of a decision on Bonner. You didn't hear anybody saying they had sources that she just wasn't unhappy until just the last couple of days. And like you said, this has been like a couple week.
It's been at least 5 games that she hasn't been playing. So, I mean, that's all fair. Real quick, to point out another thing, when you're talking about not having a big, if something happens to Boston, Dantas was going to be gone until the middle of July for World Basketball play. So that's another thing that you got to keep AB happy and healthy.
Yes. And my guess is with Dantas going to be gone, the Fever may look to see if somebody's out there to sign for another. I think they can when you lose a player like that. I think they can bring in somebody on a temporary contract. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be key to keeping Boston healthy. And I mean, and let's face it, Boston is playing really well right now.
Yeah.
She had I thought she had a great game last night, and I really didn't think she played. I thought she played pretty well against the Aces, even in the defeat.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about AB a little more here in a minute, but I don't want to leave the DeWanna story just yet. Do you think?
Okay, yeah, because you got a statement. Do you want to read?
Oh yeah, I do have that, but I will. I'll read it in just a second. But let's also. Do you think that the Bonner situation has played into the slump that Caitlin's had for the last for the road trip, basically? Like, she's not been shooting well. She's 1-13 or 1-14 from 3. She's not looked well, so it's not. There's speculation that she's just sick. Which, I mean, after a long road trip, that's possible. You're just tired and you're not feeling well. But like, do you think that emotionally the Bonner situation has been weighing on Caitlin?
It could have, because we don't know. Here's the other thing: we don't know anything that because they're really good about keeping things internal. So we don't know. I mean, personal reasons, and she wasn't with the team, if she wasn't happy. We don't know if the Fever said, we don't want you with the team until you decide, you make a decision. Or we don't know if something, because, I mean, maybe something happened. Maybe there was some chippiness or something in the locker room. I'm not going to speculate and say there was, because there's no indication that happened.
Well, and Caitlin's really good about keeping the basketball business, and keeping outside noise, and she doesn't really pay a lot of attention to it. But I could see where somebody that she's looked up to and watched and cared about leaving the team for whatever reason affecting her mentally somewhat. I mean, you no matter how strong you are mentally, there are things that are going to bring you down some, and I could see that being something that was weighing on her.
It could, yeah, it could, and especially, and what if, and we, like I said, again, we don't know, but if there were little things that she heard saying or, that bothered her, because, Caitlin is really pretty good friends with Lexi, and that kind of comes down to that spot.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that could weigh. I mean, that starting spot, but Lexi's insertion into the starting lineup makes the Fever better, because it's like I read today. Somebody said the spacing is better on offense, and you really need that. I also think that Caitlin could just be going through a really bad shooting slump.
Yeah.
I mean, she really could. And the problem is, because she is the most well-known player, it stands out more. And, great shooters have gone through slumps before.
Well, it goes back to, like we said earlier, there are the fans that are Fever fans, and then there are people that are only watching for Caitlin. And when Caitlin's not playing well, they're disappointed, and they're definitely vocal about it.
Yes.
So I think you're right. It does stand out a lot. As the Indiana's biggest Lexi Hall fan, I will say that I agree with you that Lexi being in the starting lineup makes the team way better. She had a double-double last night, and her hustle and just the way she plays she's getting better. Right?
She is.
Lexi's just getting better every game, and
And I'll tell you something, John. I've started voting. I did this. I stopped because she's a shoe-in. I stopped voting for Caitlin for the All-Stars because she's going to make it. And so I can vote for Lexi.
Yes,
because
vote
there are
Lexi
some
Hall.
other great guards there that I thought. So this way I can kind of rotate my votes, but I keep Lexi because, I mean, Caitlin is so far ahead.
I'm still voting for both.
Left, I can just go ahead and not vote for her, not worry about it, because I know she deserves to make it. Me not voting for her is not saying I don't think she deserves
Michelle,
it.
you're gonna rile up the Caitlin fan club with that take. I'm just gonna tell you, they're gonna be...
I'm sure I am, but here's the thing: she deserves it. She's gonna be there. I'm not doing this as a slight to Caitlin.
No, of course not.
I'm doing this as more of a nod for Lexi.
Yep.
No, I've been voting Lexi the entire time.
And I know you have, because you're voting as a Fever fan.
Yeah.
I try to vote I try to do it pragmatically. But
Well, then Caitlin would be on your ballot if you were doing it.
Yeah,
pragmatically.
that's absolutely true.
Right, but because of that, here's my philosophy is I don't like the fact that we're limited to 4 guards to vote for. When there's 2,
Well,
it'd
there's
be
some
different if you were having just a 15-player team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that you should. I just think that you should get to vote for 6 guards and 8 forwards. That's my opinion. And if I can't, then I might rotate. I might take some off, but guards that I think that should be in the All-Star game that I don't think necessarily will get maybe votes. If I can vote for them, that's how I'm going to skew it a little bit. I mean,
well, here's the thing. Here's my hot take on the All-Star voting, and then I'll read DeWanna Bonner's statement. We want Caitlin number 1, and we want AB number 3. We don't want her to be 2 so that they can still be on the same All-Star team together, because it's kind of like a fantasy draft situation, right? It's not East West.
It'd be fun if they were against each other.
No, I want ABCC on the same All-Star team.
Well, but here's the thing. Asia Wilson may turn around and pick AB. Asia likes to play a high
low. No, that won't happen.
They were teammates at South Carolina.
Did you
forget they were teammates?
Did you watch the Aces game, Michelle? There is no shot that Asia Wilson picks Aaliyah Boston. She was ripping on her and saying that all she does is flop. Like Asia doesn't like Aaliyah Boston because she's on the Fever. She hates it. Asia does not like Aaliyah.
Okay, but did you see Matherin and Dort? You know how they're smacking each other, knocking each other, and after the game they're hugging each other.
I'm just saying.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be, but I don't think that's how it works for Asia Wilson. So I don't think anyway. So we want Caitlin first, AB third, and then Lexi top 5. We need Lexi top 5.
To be honest, Asia deserves to be first because she is the best player in the world.
Nope. I won't. I will not jump on that bandwagon.
She is not the most popular player, but she is the best player.
Nope, she did not prove that to me.
Ends. You may not like her attitude, but she is the best player in the world.
They're 6 and 8, Michelle.
I've been watching the games. I watched.
And the Fever is 7 and 7.
I've been watching.
And I know Caitlin was out, but I'm just saying that Asia Wilson, because she can play, she does it on both ends, and Caitlin still cannot play defense at an all-star level.
I'm not even saying. I'm just saying Asia's not the best player. I watched a lot of Vegas games. I'm not that impressed. She's fine. She's good, but she's not the greatest. And I'm not even saying Caitlin is the greatest, but I'm saying Asia Wilson is not the greatest player.
I am the greatest.
If I had to start a roster right now and you said pick a center, I'm taking Boston over Asia Wilson.
But Asia Wilson doesn't just play center. That's the thing.
Well,
she has the power forward game.
She was looking a lot like Angel Reese the other day in one of the games I watched. She was not very good.
Yeah, but against the Fever, she shot poorly the first half, but look what she did in the second half. She's the reason they won.
Well, the Fever gave that one away.
But here's the thing. Asia Wilson and Brittany Stewart, I believe, are the two best because they can do things. They do things at both ends. And then you've got Caitlin in there, but I think Asia and Brittany are just slightly above everybody else.
She's only in her second season. This is not a slight at Caitlin Clark, people. Just so you know.
No, it's not a slight at Caitlin Clark.
I feel the same way. There are still some parts to her game that she needs to improve.
Yes.
And until she does, she won't be the best player in the league, but she's
awfully
close for being in her second season.
And part of her shooting slump, I really believe this, part of her shooting slump is for the fact that she just doesn't have a good mid-range game. If she had a good mid-range game, that she could rely on that.
Also, 30-footers are not a good shot even for you, Caitlin.
My biggest point, you guys are missing my point. My point was we need to get Lexi Hall in the top 5 for All-Star game. That was the point. Lexi Hall, top 5.
That's what I'm trying to do for you, John.
I know. Lexi Hall, top 5. Anyway, here's the one. We've really let this train derail, but it's been good.
Yeah, we need to get back on track.
No, you're good. So here's DeWanna's statement. I want you to tell me, both of you, how you feel about this statement as a Fever fan. She says, I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. Bonner said, I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players. What do you think?
Fine. I forgot that she even ever played for the Fever.
That's fair.
It's a very professional statement.
You think AI wrote it?
I would expect nothing less from her as the veteran that she is. What I have read is that she would like to join either the Mercury or the Dream, and I think the Mercury are the ones that have the salary possibly to make it work.
Do you? This is just me being petty, but do you really care where she wants to go? Me neither.
I'm just informing people.
Well, no, I know she said where she wants to go, but like,
Free agent now, isn't she?
yeah, she is. She's an unrestricted free agent, so.
I don't know where she wants to go.
Well, no, she's got 48 hours on the waiver, but I do think that anybody who bought a Fever DeWanna jersey, she should have to buy that back from them. I think she should have to replace any jerseys that people bought.
Yeah, but no. If you go there, then that means the Fever when they release players and stuff, then they should have to buy back jerseys. If they end up releasing players and resigning, you go buy a jersey.
It's different to me because DeWanna came here and made a big deal, and there was a whole bunch of things. And she's a star. Like, let's admit, she's a star, so she has drawing power. So when people that actually follow the WNBA saw that she was coming here a lot, they sold some DeWanna jerseys, and she played how many games? I think the team or her owes it to those people to replace those.
Yeah, but one of the thing is she did get that one, made that milestone in a Fever jersey, so that jersey might be actually worth something someday. So
collector's item.
I'm just saying, I would be frustrated if I had bought one and then she pulled this stunt.
I continue.
Oh, I get that, but I don't buy jerseys because they're too. I think they're all too expensive anyway.
Yeah,
I think what they sell the jerseys for are ridiculous.
Yeah,
John has to win a lot of bets to afford all his.
I do. I like because it's Tipton High School where I work. We have Fever or Jersey Thursday every Thursday, so I wear football. I have a lot of jerseys.
Well, like I said, I think that's great and everything for you. I just hate it, and especially kids' jerseys because kids grow through those so fast. I sit there and I always think you sell them for this because you want to make money, but think if you made them a little bit more affordable, you'd sell more of them, so you would still make more money.
Oh, the NBA and WNBA are so short-sighted. Don't even get me started on this.
Listen,
I won't get started.
Okay. The one win I got on Sunday night after the sad Pacers ending is I was able to pick up a Sophie Cunningham jersey for my wife. She wanted a Sophie Cunningham jersey, so they're sold out online. They sold out online, but they had them at the team store, so I was able to pick one up for her.
Very cool.
Well, good. I'm glad for that.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, do we want to talk a little bit about last night's game? Because
I do.
Caitlin did not. I mean, she did not shoot well and everything, but I thought that was one of the best games the Fever as a whole really played.
I made this comment last time Greg and I had a Fever reaction video or podcast. I think that Caitlin being away from the team for the games that she was away was good for the team because it forced everybody else to step up and know how to play when Caitlin's not being like the savior of the team. And I also
decent results.
Yeah, and I think that we're seeing that now. Like when she's in a shooting slump, when she's shooting so poorly, the team found a way to win, and I think that's great. So I do think that even though we would like to be better than 7-7, and we would like to see Caitlin playing excellent basketball and hitting all her shots, I think that what we're seeing now will have long-term results for the team that plays better, no matter how everybody's playing.
Yes, I do too. I mean, of course, last night, Boston was just dynamite, career high, 32 points.
Yeah, it was. Boston had an amazing game
from the field. I mean, she looked good. What I love about Aaliyah Boston.
And no offense to Caitlin, but Aaliyah is my favorite. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah. Oh, she's my favorite. Her and Lexi are my favorites.
Smile. I love Aaliyah Boston.
Huh?
I love Boston. I like the whole team. It's hard to really rank people. I mean, Lexi's my favorite player. I don't think Caitlin has to be your favorite player. You can say she's the most exciting player in the league without her being your favorite player.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think what I like about Boston is, and again, I give a lot of credit to Stephanie White and staff. We see her pulling down rebounds and leading the break. We see her putting the ball on the floor and driving to and being able to finish. We see her making great passes. Her confidence in her game is just blossomed, and she's playing very confident. And and defensively, she's getting better, even defensively. And I never thought she was a bad defender. I just enjoy, watching her play. Lexi was home last night, she played it. that area and everything. And so she, out west, Lexi had a pretty good road trip out there going back to stomping grounds and stuff. But she just was, she's just dynamite too. There are times I would personally like to see Lexi be more assertive, and I thought she was that last night. Because there are times I think she is not assertive enough because they could use her to be assertive.
Before we get on to Lexi, because obviously Lexi's my favorite player, and I'd love to talk about her as much as you want. But the one thing I want to say about Boston is I think she played well, even getting into a couple she gets into foul trouble, and I don't think it's entirely her fault. For whatever reason, the whistles for her are bad. I don't want to sit here and rip on refs. We've discussed that multiple times through multiple teams. But, for whatever reason, she gets called for fouls that I don't even think are close sometimes. And it's just the way it works. And she played well through foul trouble. She and Natasha Howard both had 2 or 3 fouls in the first quarter. And for her to play that well and get 31 points when you're dealing with a little bit of foul trouble, that's impressive.
Yeah, it is. And I will say this, and I'm not to be mean or anything, but I'm glad that Bonner is the one that didn't like the fit. I'm glad that Howard likes and enjoys being at the Fever, because she has been a super positive impact.
Well, and Howard's not necessarily getting a lot of points, but her presence on the court is making an impact.
Yes.
I'll be very honest. I made my same game parlay last night, and I had Boston for 10 points, and I had Kelsey for 15, and I had Howard for 5 rebounds plus a couple. And I hit it basically in the first half. Everything was hit in the first half for my.
Higher on
but you never really know. Boston.
Of course,
you never would have guessed 30.
No.
I think 15 is right at that is a perfect line.
That's a guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 14 and a half is about her where I would guess for her. So saying Boston for 15 sometimes makes me nervous. But
except I think you're going to see her point production go up because, like I said, I think this offense, she's gotten comfortable in Stephanie's system and everything. And so I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the season, Aaliyah's not averaging 18 to 19 points a game.
No, I think so too. The only thing I didn't hit last night was Caitlin for 3 threes. So, everything else I bet hit within almost the first half or early in the second half. So the Fever had a fantastic game.
Well, and I want to go back to Caitlin for just one more minute too with this shooting thing too is, I think for her, I'm not so sure that it's not prolonging itself because she's never been in such a prolonged slump. To go where she doesn't hit a 3, even in college, she might have been 1 for 9, but she would get one of those 3s to go down. And so this is something new. She's navigating new territory in some ways. So, and unfortunately for her, like we said earlier, she's having to navigate it while being under a microscope because she's the most popular player in the world.
Well, and the way some of the fans, and I always want to say some because I never want to lump people together, the way some of the fans turn on her so quick when she's not producing, or they turn on the team saying it must be somebody else's fault, it just turns on so quick when she's not shooting well. I think she's sick. I think she's got something that's caused, she just, everything looked a little short, or she was overcome. She just feels and she looked a little pale. I know she's pale anyway, but I'm just saying she looked a little more pale than usual. I think she's got something going on where she just doesn't feel well. And when you're on a long road trip, it's hard to recover. It's hard to just, get healthy.
Oh, yeah.
So it
is. You're never sleeping in your own bed, You can't really cook for yourself. There's things that you miss about being at home when you're not feeling well.
So I think that's part of it. I'm not completely convinced that she doesn't still have some lingering quad issue, but she'll find her way to make it through it, right? That's the thing. We're not going to give up on her, and she's going to be fine. And the positive is that the team is finding ways to produce without her. Again, I always say being the savior of the team. The team's producing around her, and that's good. So rather than be upset with Caitlin or frustrated with or whatever, let's find the positive and say they're playing well right now, and I like to see it.
Oh, yeah. They really are. They are playing well, and I look at it this way. I've always said this because I really thought what was, I was kind of right about this last year. You know, the Fever came in, they made the playoffs, you know, because Clark and Mitchell were really on a tear. The Fever were on a tear shooting wise from outside and everything. I said they can't sustain that all the way through the playoffs. You know, make the NBA Finals. I said it's going to go, and I said I hate it because what they've done is they have not developed a consistent inside game or presence, you know, or an offense where they're going inside out to do that, and that kind of happened. You know, they got to the playoffs, and then they kind of went cold from outside. And, you know, this year they can do that a little bit because they can overcome that stuff, you know, like Caitlin, or even if it would be Mitchell, because they have an inside game. They have a way to attack inside the arc with Boston, with Howard, you know, even Lexi on backdoor cuts, you know, things like that. I mean, they have ways that they don't have to be 100% perimeter oriented to be successful.
Well, we don't want to not give Kelsey Mitchell her flowers for last night's game, because she had 26. She had some really great shooting. She had some really great driving. I think Mitchell's game is developing, which is weird to say because she's a veteran, right? Like, Mitchell's been with the team for not 10. I forget how many years. I think she was drafted in 20? Yeah, I think she was drafted in 18 maybe. But she's playing great, and she's no longer just dribbling, and then something. You know, she's looking to move the ball if she can, or she's driving, or she's pulling up, and she's got the confidence to just pull up when she has it. So she shot really well last night. Really happy with Kelsey's performance.
Oh, me too. And I'm really happy with Kelsey and the way she's committed herself to the defensive end of the floor as well. I mean, she's taking on the challenge of guarding good players. She's I think she kind of relishes it.
That brings up the point. I think the whole team has become kind of it almost reminds me, mirrors the Pacers. Like, they were known for their offense. Their offense was what moved the team and gave them success. But, like, their defense is really developed, and they're playing decent defense.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are. I expected that because Stephanie White's teams are always pretty good defensively. I just like it because I just like the fact that they have a system in place. And not only is the team connected, I really feel like the staff is connected. I don't think the staff, Christy Sides and her staff, were connected.
So now the Fever are 7-7, but now they have a stretch that they need to take advantage of. 6 of the next 7 games at home, starting Thursday night with the Sparks. Then they're at Dallas, then Vegas at home, the Sparks at home, Golden State at home, Atlanta at home. If the Fever are going to be championship contenders, got to go at least 5-1 in that stretch, right?
You have to. I have 4-2. I think it'd be okay. You got to win the Golden State game. You can't let Golden State have 2 in a row.
No, and especially because they're going to be, this next one's at your place.
Yeah.
At the, you know, it's a game bridge. You want to win that one. You need to. Having the Aces at home is probably going to be an advantage. Should be. The Dream, they're
solid.
Pretty good.
They're solid.
They're solid, and I think they're the one team that kind of maybe is really, it gives the Fever fits this year.
So that game Thursday is at 7:00. It's on Prime Video. I just did a search. The cheapest seat to get in is $24, so it should be
Thursday.
For Thursday,
I can't find anything cheaper than $40.
TickPick.
Oh, okay.
TickPick.com says $24. Maybe you can find them for $40, but I'm just letting people know how much you get in. Also, it's on somewhere on local television. You guys are all adults. You're not children. You can find it.
Well, though, Fever have an actual page on their website that says where to watch. So if you just Google where to watch Fever, it gives you the local.
You're all adults. You can figure all that stuff out. You don't need me to hold your hand, right, Michelle?
Nope, should not.
But I think they're going to go 5-1 in this stretch. And then you got Dallas at home. At Connecticut.
The Dallas game is going to be the interesting game because we all know that those fans, John, we talk about the obsessed ones, because with Dallas coming with Paige, Beckers, there's going to be a lot of people putting a lot of hype on the head-to-head matchup with Caitlin and Paige, which I think is ridiculous because they are they're kind of two different players.
Yeah, but you
still,
have to have narratives,
get it.
Michelle. You have to have narratives.
That's why I'm going to be watching.
That's why I bought tickets to the Chicago.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is you can't, when I say you could do it head-to-head, I guess, but there's not going to be, and although I will say this, Beckers could guard Caitlin. I doubt if Caitlin guards Bet. I doubt if they put Caitlin on Beckers.
No, I don't think that's
no,
what we're
but people
talking
want
about.
to see the rookie
yeah,
this
head-to-head
year.
that way, and that is, but I think expectations of, I guess I like the head-to-head. It's kind of nice, but the people are going to concentrate on the wrong thing on it. They're going to concentrate on the points part of it.
Yep.
And I just take that. I just like, what are they doing for their teams? I think it should be. I mean,
That's what's
going to
be fun.
But the takeaway, though, Michelle, is you've got people excited about a game in the WNBA.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've got to have narratives to get people to watch the sport.
And I think you will. I think you'll see a lot of things. I mean, Butler sold out when UConn came to Eagle last year, and it was Paige Bet. I mean, it was like when you saw the pictures afterwards, you saw all these people that
in Dallas,
they went to watch Paige. These little young girls, they went to watch Paige. Like before they go to watch Caitlin, they went to watch Paige.
All right.
I was just gonna say I looked up the Dallas at Indianapolis tickets. It's $151 to get in the building.
Yeah.
Crazy. Same with at Indiana at Dallas is about the same. There's also a game in between there that does not count toward the standings, of course.
Oh, the championship for the Commissioners.
July 1st, the Commissioners Cup Championship in Minnesota. How big of a deal is that?
That's big. I think it's big. I think you're looking at a potential WNBA Finals preview, honestly.
Except I will say this: a lot of times, if you win the in-season tournament, you don't always win the one at the end, and the one at the end means the most. These in-season tournaments are okay. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they're okay. It should be. You're right. It could be a WNBA Finals preview. I'll be interested to see if Fee's back yet, because Fee makes a huge difference for the Lynx.
That'll be a big factor heading into that.
Yeah, I think whether Nafisa is back is going to be huge. But I do think that it'll be a great game. And I really would love to see the Fever get the win. I think they're going to be the underdogs. I think they're clearly the underdogs. Lynx are really strong. But it's a big deal. For people who don't watch a lot of WNBA, I mean, they may not realize this is kind of like the in-season tournament, for
it's
NBA.
The exact same thing, yeah.
It's exciting, and they're playing for a lot of money for charity. So and there's pride. So I'm going to watch it.
And the winning team shares $100,000.
Yeah.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
No. And, for the females, and I know because of money, they can all use the extra cash.
Of course. It's not quite the same as the NBA. Hopefully it's getting there on the back of a young lady named Caitlin Clark. And by the way,
I'd rather see the NBA players come back a little bit, because I personally believe that entertainers and athletes are way, 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 way overpaid.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day, Michelle.
Yes, it is.
I think they should get what they're worth, but I think we should have a concerted effort for owners and players to go, hey,
but
look, we're charging way too much.
They're not worth more than John Robertson. They're not worth more than a good teacher. They're not worth more than a soldier. They're not worth more than a police officer.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Financially, they are.
They produce more in the economy than I do.
Financially, they just are, Michelle.
But if you don't have those others, you don't have that.
That's not how the world works.
You don't have people that can afford to spend the money to go see.
Not how the world works.
Morally,
but they do need to get the prices down. So tomorrow night, after the Fever beat the Sparks, we will have a reaction podcast, assuming everybody's available and all goes well, with John and Michelle and maybe some others. We'll see. We are officially on the Central Indiana Sports Report in Fever season, because Fever and IndyCar are the only things we got going now.
Well, and Major League Baseball.
Well, we don't have a team. We don't have a Central
Fine,
Indiana.
that's fair.
But we will be talking about it. We do have Cody Emerson and Uncle Paul talking about Major League Baseball once a week. And how about those Red Legs, everybody?
I know. And as we'll say, in this area, you have Cubs fans and you have Reds fans.
And you have Cardinals fans.
And you know what? It may not be a major league team, but I didn't realize this, but my niece who just got married, her and her husband, their first date was at an Indianapolis Indians game.
Such a great place to go.
Well, and I'm happy
Yes,
to
it is
have
very
Fever.
nice.
We're not to the point where we're going to be covering minor league sports quite yet, but
No. I was just saying.
such a great venue, top 5 in the nation. Victory Field. All right, John. Always great to have Michelle with us. She's the best, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, she's always got a lot to say, and most of it's good.
Most of it's good. Unless it's about Christy Sides, and then it's not going to be good. All right. Thank you so much to Tipton Municipal Golf Course for hosting us, and it's such a great place to do a podcast. Most of the time we're sitting outside because it's lovely,
Oh, yeah.
but today was not lovely.
You know,
Today was a little too hot.
it was hot, but I got to see a lot of people that I knew today,
Yeah.
so I was kind
That's the other great thing. People stop by, they sit down at the microphone sometimes, and we had a microphone set up in case anybody wanted to sit down. Not a big crowd out here today when it's 148
Yeah,
degrees.
they were ready to go play golf.
Yeah.
The people that were here, so.
Yeah. But that's what we do out here every Wednesday. Not every Wednesday. Most Wednesdays during the summer. We come out here and podcast because it's a lovely place, great people, and what a great golf course.
Absolutely. I love this place. I grew up here, and I grew up playing on it, but it's just such a nice course.
There's a reason the best high school teams in the state schedule matches here during the season because it's a great place.
Yeah.
Westfield, maybe
Oh,
the best
yeah.
team in history this
And
year.
they played here this year.
They played here. They play here every year. They make it a point to play
Yeah.
here.
It's a real nice course.
And thank you, John. We're going to continue having Fever coverage, and our new season begins August 1st. But between now and then, we're going to have a lot to talk about with the Fever.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have Fever basketball to watch because after the Pacers season ended, I was like, well, what do I do now? And
Exactly. It really does help you bounce back a little bit.
it really does.
That's
It really
the great
does.
thing about sports. There's always tomorrow.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners, don't forget to vote for Lexi Hull in the WNBA All-Star
Aaliyah
Game.
Boston.
And Aaliyah Boston.
Caitlin Clark. And Chelsea Mitchell.
Just get on and do your voting.
Sophie
Actually,
Cunningham,
don't forget that you can vote every day. Like, honestly, I really do think it's important to vote every day for your favorites. I do vote heavily Fever players, but I do throw a couple that I think deserve it also. But Lexi Hull.
Once again, we apologize for nothing we say. Thanks for listening. Thanks, John and Michelle, and thanks for listening. Please go subscribe and tell your friends about the Central Indiana Sports Report, which is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.